RobJamWeb here for Waxadis Music Tutorials, and welcome to the Ultimate Disco Boogie course 2020 in Ableton Live 10. If you took part in the Ableton course from the few years ago that I did, you'll remember that that was primarily sample based, and we used lots of loops and hooks from various other records to create re-edits and French disco house and funky disco house. So it was all focused on loop based recordings, whereas this course is completely original, and it's tracks that we've created from scratch to recreate an authentic disco sound. So we've got 3 tracks here to produce with, and the first one is a Patrick Adams style tutorial. Now if you're familiar with Patrick Adams' work, you'll instantly recognise his sound that he used back in those days, which was like a lot of squelchy lead lines that were really spacey and far out. So we've recreated that here in this tutorial using original sounds, so as much organic musical instruments as possible. So we've got bass guitars, guitar stabs, guitar riffs, live congos, percussion and some live drum sounds. So we've got synthesized sounds as well, like the clavinet and strings and stuff from various VSTs. But what we predominantly have got here is a track that is raw in its sound to recreate that Patrick Adams sound from the late 70s. So go ahead and listen to, if you're not familiar with Patrick Adams that is, go and listen to his track Cloud One Atmosphere Strut, or a track that he did also called by Cloud One called Spaced Out. And if you listen to the lead line on that, you'll instantly know what we're going for here. Also, we produced an artist by a lady called Donna McGee, and she made a track called It Ain't No Big Thing. And if you listen to the production on that as well, with the bells and the lead lines on that, you'll hear exactly what it is we're trying to go for with this track. It's set at 107 BPM, so it's not a full-on disco track. It's slowed down. It's still disco, but it's slowed down as well. It's kind of soulful as well at the same time. So I'm going to play excerpts from this now so that you get an idea of what it is exactly we're doing with this tutorial. So let's just play some excerpts from it now. You'll hear that it's quite raw sounding, which is the feel that we're going for. And that's the lead line I'm talking about there. So that's just a little snippet of what we're going to be producing in this tutorial. As I say, everything is as live sounding as possible. So, using Ableton, you can, sample any drum machine, which I've got here, which are like real sort of drum sort of sounds. And then some percussion, which are all programmed in as well via MIDI, as you can see there. And we use things like, we use the drum rack. And then we'll use third-party synths, such as the Contact Real Player, which is doesn't cost you any more at all. It's completely free. You just have to install it. We'll get the bass from that, which is really nice. So yeah, that worm lead sound that we used there, it's that classic Patrick Adams sound, which is really squelchy and just completely random, And then we do, little patterns like that, which are, quite random. At the same time, they're all timed up and quantized to fit with the drums. So. So yeah, that's what we're going for in this track. Using percussion built into Ableton as well, like the percussion core kit. So that's that one. That's the Patrick Adams style tutorial that we're going to be doing. It's only a short track. It's 12 tracks in total. There's not a lot going on in there. But in each individual one, we've got various percussion in there and congos in there and the drums in there. So I've kept them all on one channel just to give it that, authentic sort of feel that you would have got back in those days. The only thing you have to do is download the plugins that are included within the pack of this tutorial, which are completely free. They're just extra simps, and they're available for both Mac and PC. So there's no barriers for anybody on here. So that's that. That's the Patrick Adams course that we're going to be doing. So the next course that we're going to produce is something from the early to mid 1980s, and basically this is influenced by a lot of those records from the early 80s, like Shalimar and SOS Band and the Gap Band, and a lot of the later Kool and the Gang stuff. That kind of electro synth. Disco boogie, the post-disco records, like Sam Records, the label Sam Records, and things like that, really. A lot of that stuff that came out of disco but ended up becoming more electronic, funk-based sort of music. So I'm going to play a few snippets from this now. So as you can hear there, you can get the idea of where we're going with this. It's that kind of early 80s sort of stuff, stuff you would have got around 81, 82, 83. So yeah, you've got a lot of arpeggios, a lot of polys. This is obviously way more synth-based than the previous one, than the Patrick Adams one, because we've jumped a few years here, and now we're into the 80s. And we've got a lot of, we're using a lot more technology now. We're using all of the things available to us. So when you make this sort of track, you've got to think about the clash of sounds. So obviously we have high bass synth sounds like this one here, which is just a bass, and it's just been pushed right up the octaves so that it goes with this bass. And we do a bit where we've got a little drum breakdown as well, where there's like a percussion solo, which is reminiscent of Tyrone Brunson's classic, The Smurf. And we do a lot of little techniques in there as well that were quite famous back in those days, like, pitch bending and modulation and things like that, and a lot of glissando sort of arpeggios, like this one, for example. And then this one as well, which was this one. Little sounds like that made these tracks really bright and funky and colourful. And then we put stuff like this in with virtual guitars, virtual muted guitars, like this, with the Rhodes. And we use genuine, authentic, vintage drum sounds as well, like down here we've got this drum kit that I've programmed in with the original sounds on. So you've got all that in there. So yeah, that one, as I say, is the early 80s sort of disco course that we do. And that's included in this as well. As I say, there's no extra cost. All the third-party plugins come within the pack, and you just download them and install them straight away if you haven't already got them, that is. So that's that one. That's the 80s one. Okay. Now what we're going to do is, for the third course, is a more contemporary track, which is a new disco house track. This is completely original, but it's loosely based on the Purple Disco Machine track, In Your Arms, which has recently just come out in early 2020 as we speak. And I listened to that and I thought, oh, we could do something similar to that, which is contemporary, but it uses traditional disco sounds combined with a lot of synths and the techniques of house. So we're going to go through that track now, and you're going to hear elements of this, and this is the exact track that we're going to produce in this course. It's about 7.5, 8 minutes long, I think this is. But yeah, let's have a little skip through it, and then you'll hear the sort of stuff that we're doing in this as well. And there you go. So that's the new disco track that we're producing. It's got like filtered pianos in there, and it's got like funk bass in there, and it's got slap bass as well, and some guitar chops and muted guitar and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of traditional sort of sounds in there, combined with house beats. You know, it's got 909s in there and claps and stuff like that. And a lot of poly riffs and arpeggios and stuff like that. So it's got a combination of all sorts in here. There's several riffs in here which are, you know, are really good, and they go really well together. The purpose of doing this is to like combine as many sort of sounds as you can, but without them all overlapping and getting in each other's way. So, for example, these sounds here. They drop in and out of each other. You know, things like that. So we put those in there. We've got a lot of high-end sounds and low-end sounds. And then we'll create things like this down in the operator. We create our own whooshes and our own wobble sounds, you know, where you get the disco wobble sound like this. You know, we create that ourselves in the operator, along with a whoosh in the operator, where we get our original sort of, you know, wind whoosh effect sound. And we manipulate that by putting effects on it, and we have little guitar samples in here, little loops, little hooks, and a slap bass off the virtual instrument, and then the funk bass again from the contact player. And then we put symptoms in there, which is a traditional disco sound. So there you go. So that's the new disco track that we've done, which, as I say, is loosely based on the Purple Disco Machine track, In Your Arms. As I say, this is the sort of track that you could produce and then just stick a vocal on top. If you get a catchy vocal hook on top of this, it would be absolutely perfect, an absolute perfect dance floor hit. So all you need is a catchy hook and these techniques and elements to create a fine new disco record, basically. All of the tracks that we've produced in this, there's roughly about 9 hours worth of material. And it's all created by myself, and you can take full advantage of it. Once you download the course, you don't have to have a time limit on that. It's perfectly okay to have it for as long as you want. I offer full customer support as well for the whole course, so any problems you have, just email me and I respond usually within 24 hours. So go ahead and listen to the 3 tracks individually. If you can see in the drop-down menu, there's links for each of the tracks individually. So go and listen to those, and if you like what you hear, sign up for the course in the link on the video description as well in the comments box at the top, and pay for the course via PayPal. And that's it. And then you'll get access to the online drive where you can download all the videos, all the materials, all the resources, the VSTs and the samples. It's all there. It's all there for you to go. So that's all really for this course. So welcome to the Ultimate Disco Course 2020. I look forward to seeing you on your disco journey. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.